There's a moment every older man feels but rarely admits. A younger woman looks at him just a little too long, and suddenly he wonders, was that interest or just curiosity? And the truth behind that look is far more complicated and far more dangerous than anyone ever tells you. Most men think younger women either adore older men or avoid them completely. But the real story lives in the silent space between those extremes, a space filled with psychology, instinct, and unspoken expectations. As a female psychologist, I'm going to tell you what younger women actually see when they look at an older man, and why so many men misread the signs. Not because they're foolish, but because no one ever gave them the tools to understand them. Younger women don't see your age first. They see your energy. They see how you hold your shoulders, how you enter a room, how you respond when someone interrupts you, how calm or chaotic you seem inside. To a younger woman, an older man represents one of two things, either emotional stability or emotional danger. And the difference is almost always revealed in the first 30 seconds of interaction. If your presence feels grounded, unhurried, and non-reactive, she interprets it as maturity. Not because you're older, but because you're unaffected. That makes her curious. It makes her attentive. It makes her feel like she's dealing with someone who has already faced life's storms and isn't waiting for validation from her or anyone else. Younger women are drawn to that, not romantically every time, not physically every time, but psychologically. Stability is magnetic. But if your energy feels heavy, if she senses regret, bitterness, or desperation beneath your words, she pulls back instantly. Not because of your age, but because younger women are hypersensitive to emotional weight. When a man carries resentment, loneliness, or longing like a silent shadow behind him, it shows in the smallest ways: how he over-explains, how he laughs too loudly, how he tries a little too hard to be impressive or relevant. Younger women don't judge this. They simply retreat from it. It feels unsafe. It feels unpredictable. And unpredictability to a young woman is the biggest red flag of all. You see, younger women don't treat older men differently. They treat energy differently. What most men mistake for surface-level attraction is actually psychological scanning. They're reading you faster than you realize. They're measuring your intentions, your emotional climate, your level of self-respect, not with words, but with instinct. And that's why so many men get confused. They think the barrier is age, but the real barrier is how their inner world leaks into their outer behavior, quietly, consistently, undeniably. What most older men don't realize is that younger women are not comparing you to men their age. They're comparing you to the idea of what an older man is supposed to be. And this idea is powerful. It comes from movies, from social media, from their friends, from how they've seen their fathers or uncles behave. Whether it's fair or not, younger women expect an older man to be composed, emotionally intelligent, patient, and certain of himself. Not perfect, just certain. So when you meet a younger woman, she's not evaluating your looks first. She's evaluating your self-command. She watches how you speak to waiters, how you react when plans change, how you handle minor frustrations. She notices if you complain constantly, if you gossip, if you turn every conversation back to your past. Younger women pay attention to these things not because they're judging you, but because they're trying to understand what being close to you would feel like. Would it feel like warmth or responsibility? Would it feel like calm or emotional labor? Would it feel like expansion or drain? A younger woman may compliment you, laugh at your jokes, or even give you attention. But that doesn't mean she sees you as a romantic option. Sometimes she's simply responding to your confidence, your presence, or the sense of peace you bring. And that's where many men get unintentionally misled. They mistake friendliness for romantic interest, appreciation for attraction, and curiosity for commitment. This is where emotional maturity becomes everything. If a younger woman senses that you expect something from her, validation, affection, admiration, her respect for you shifts instantly. Not because wanting connection is wrong, but because needing it from her creates an imbalance. It makes her feel like she's filling a void, like she's responsible for your self-esteem. Younger women do not want to be someone's emotional oxygen. They want to be someone's addition, not their reason for breathing. But when she meets an older man who is whole on his own, who doesn't chase validation, who doesn't cling to youth, who doesn't use his life experience as a weapon, everything changes. She relaxes. She becomes open. She becomes authentic. Because now she sees a man she can trust, not a man who secretly wants to be saved. Younger women respond best to older men who carry themselves with a quiet assurance, not arrogance, not dominance, just a firm sense of who they are. Because to her, that means one thing: emotional safety. And emotional safety is the universal currency of attraction, regardless of age. There's a side of this dynamic that almost no one talks about: the quiet fear younger women have when dealing with older men. Not fear of harm, fear of expectation. Younger women know that some older men see them as a fantasy, a symbol of youth, a second chance. And the moment she feels you're projecting something onto her that she never agreed to carry, she pulls back with a speed that feels brutal. This is why some older men experience something confusing. A younger woman will be warm, playful, maybe even flirty one moment, and cold, guarded, or distant the next. It's not because she's manipulative, and it's not because she's playing games. It's because she suddenly felt the emotional weight shift. Maybe you looked at her a little too long. Maybe you complimented her in a way that revealed deeper longing. Maybe the conversation started feeling less like two people connecting, and more like you silently hoping she'll fill something missing. Younger women sense emotional hunger instantly. They feel when a man's interest comes from admiration and when it comes from emptiness. And emptiness scares them because emptiness becomes expectation. Expectation becomes pressure. Pressure becomes responsibility. And responsibility is the death of attraction. Here's the part that surprises most men. Younger women actually admire older men. They admire your resilience, your patience, your stories, your discipline. They admire that you've survived things they're still afraid to face. They admire your ability to think long-term, to stay calm, to not panic over small things. That admiration can transform into attraction, but only if it feels natural, not demanded. The moment she senses that you expect her admiration, it collapses. Attraction only grows when she feels like she chose it, not when she feels like she was recruited into it. And then there's this. Younger women pay attention to how you talk about your past. If every story is about heartbreak, betrayal, or being wronged, she feels like stepping into your life means inheriting your ghosts. If every joke is about your age, she feels like she's stepping into your insecurity. If every comment carries a hint of resentment toward women, she feels like she's stepping into your wounds. What actually pulls younger women toward older men is when your past hasn't hardened you, it's refined you. When your experiences show wisdom without bitterness. When you can say, "I've lived through it," without needing to prove anything. That's when she sees you not as an age, but as a man. Because younger women don't fall for older men. They fall for older men who are done proving, done chasing, done competing. Men who feel complete. A complete man is rare, and rarity is attractive at any age. Here is the truth most older men never hear. Younger women don't want you to be younger. They don't want you to compete with 20-year-olds, dress like them, talk like them, or mimic their lifestyle. What they want, what they respond to, is the version of you that has stopped apologizing for who he is. The man who isn't chasing time, but mastering it. The man whose value isn't borrowed from youth, but built from experience. When a younger woman is around an older man who is deeply comfortable in his identity, something shifts inside her. She feels grounded. She feels understood. She feels like she can finally stop performing and just be. And that feeling is rare for her. Younger men often operate in a space of competition, competing for attention, competing for status, competing for validation. But you've outgrown the battlefield. And that makes you magnetic in a way that has nothing to do with age and everything to do with presence. But this comes with a responsibility, one that many older men overlook. You must lead with clarity, not confusion. Clarity in your intentions, clarity in your boundaries, clarity in your values. If you want respect from a younger woman, you cannot act like you're waiting for her to choose you. You must show that you've already chosen yourself. Because younger women don't follow uncertainty. They're drawn to men who live by their own internal compass. And here's the paradox. The less you try to impress her, the more she leans in. The more you stay rooted in your truth, the more she studies you. The more you remove pressure from the interaction, the more she relaxes into it. A younger woman's attraction doesn't come from your attempts to win her. It comes from the security of knowing you won't fall apart if she doesn't. That's what makes you different from younger men. Not money, not experience, not status, but your ability to remain emotionally steady in a world where most men are shaking inside. That steadiness feels like oxygen to her. And that's why younger women treat older men with a unique blend of caution and curiosity. They're trying to determine which type you are, the grounded one or the one looking to be saved. If you want to know how younger women really see older men, it comes down to this. They don't see your age. They see the story your age is telling. Is it a story of growth or a story of regret, a story of strength or a story of longing? Because she's not responding to the years on your face. She's responding to the life you've built behind your eyes. Now let me ask you this. What do you think younger women actually see when they look at you? Tell me in the comments. And if this video opened your eyes, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this today.